Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems. Wanted to get started a little bit early, actually just about right on time. Here we go. Y'all ready? Let's get everybody on in. I see some people already in, had several people already kind of waiting out there in the wings in the waiting room, and they're just kind of starting to come on in. Today, we're going to be talking about Medical Billing Success Blueprint, what it really gets to, how to get started with no experience. Matter of fact, it was interesting. I had a conversation with somebody just last evening about how does this whole thing work? Do people, after they become part of American Business Systems, do they have to go to school? Do they have to get training? Do they have to get any certifications? And today I'm going to share with you that everything that you're going to need to be a successful medical billing company, we're going to give you all the training right here. Matter of fact, we're going to certify you as a certified medical revenue manager, and you'll learn about that today. Looks like we've got a great crowd this afternoon. I hope everybody's doing well on this first Wednesday of October. If you can believe it, it's already the October, the 2nd here, and it's unbelievable how quickly all this time goes. To let everybody know, as you're coming in today, we're going to try to keep this in with about 30-35 minutes. We kind of like to for our topical type of discussions, we try to keep them as tight as we can, so that when we place them on the YouTube channel, someone's not listening to a full webinar for an entire hour. So that's what we're going to be working on with today. But listen, I don't want to take up any more of the introductory time so that we don't have any time for the topic. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Eric Auger. I welcome everybody that's here this afternoon. Again, the topic of what we're going to be talking about is how you can get started with no experience in medical billing. Actually, we're going to show you somewhat of what we call our successful blueprint. Make sure that you are knowing where the Q&A box is. That's how you and I will communicate this afternoon. So I'd like to hear from you. If you got particular questions you'd like to ask me during the webinar, feel free to put those up over in the Q&A box. Even if I can't get to your question, I'll recognize that you've got a question up there, because I might want to wait a little bit further on down into the webinar. But if you don't mind helping me out right now, if you don't mind just typing in where you're calling in from this afternoon, that would be a great help. You can tell me what city you're in, what state you're in. I just like to know kind of where everybody's located. So if I can get some folks that are on here already, Labrina, maybe Kim, Liv, Marquita, some of you could just go ahead and type on in just where you're calling in from. I appreciate it. Kim's already saying that she's from San Diego, California. It's good to see you. Carrie, Alan out of Cary, North Carolina. Alan, I hope you and your family's doing well. Don't know how the hurricane hit you guys or didn't hit you guys, but certainly all of you folks are in our thoughts and prayers out there in North Carolina and South Carolina. Labrina's from Keller, Texas. Liv is from Atlanta, Georgia. Same for you, for those that are out there in Georgia. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Right, we got a lot of folks here from North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well. Liv says basement flood. Ugh. Yeah, so I can only understand. So just know that you're in our thoughts and prayers, and we'll continue to keep you guys over there in a lot of prayer. My name's Eric Auger. Again, I'll be your co-host or your host this afternoon. And I look forward to spending the next 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes with you. For those that are going to be on here live, again, I'm going to take some time to go through a lot of your questions towards the end. So if you want to hang on, I always like time for a little bit of bonus time here. So I don't mind hanging out a little bit. Let me tell you a little bit about American Business Systems. It's been around for over 30 years. About to celebrate 31 years come January. It's a business that has been around for a very long time, and it's been around because it's been a family business. It's been passed on now from one generation to another. Adam Phillips is now the CEO of American Business Systems. Adam took over as CEO about 2 to 3 years ago, doing a fantastic job at doing this. He has followed in his dad's footsteps in writing, and writing not only books but articles. One of the books that he just got through completing a few years ago is 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. We're actually going to talk briefly about that today and share with you how that is actually in part of your training. And then he's written an article that's called that I'm going to show you right here. Will the advancement in artificial intelligence take over my job as a medical biller or coder. So let me share with you a little bit about that, because a lot of people are concerned about AI. Obviously, I think there's some great benefits of it. There's obviously some people that have a lot of thoughts about it behind the scenes. But from us as medical billers, coders, those of us in the medical field, we actually see it as a huge asset. So our goal between now and the end of the year is to get Adam back on. We're actually going to end up doing another interview with him, and he's going to have some new updates on that. Adam's also the founder of an organization called MIRMA. MIRMA is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. It is the organization of which you will be a part of as soon as you lock in with us here at American Business Systems. What the benefit of that is that now you're part of the nation's largest independent group of medical billers. You are able to carry the MIRMA logo, as you can see there, and you'll be able to put that on your business card, on all of your everything, your website, everything that goes on with you here at American Business Systems, because that'll be the place where all of your doctors can actually go. Anybody that's doing any vetting with you, their due diligence on you, and as you can see here, they're the ones that certify you through our training certification process, which we're going to be talking about today. So I'll talk with you a little bit about what you're going to learn from MIRMA and the certification that you're going to get from MIRMA. Okay, so all right, here we go. Buckle up. Here we go. We're already in it. So I want to make sure that we have plenty of time again to answer your questions as we go through it. So again, don't forget, I've got the question and answer box. It's just to my right over here on my screen, so I can see everybody when they're typing in something. All right, so before we get started in this whole part of medical billing and what you're going to kind of learn once you join us here, the question is always there in the back of people's minds. Why in the world would a doctor use me, especially if a doctor already has a staff already there? What is the benefit of having somebody external to the doctor's office? Well, there's a lot of great things that can happen if the doctor can get their billing out, just as much as they don't have an accountant sitting there in their office. They allow an accountant actually do all of their books. You don't want somebody actually inside the doctor's office always doing the books. And the same thing happens with the medical billing. And I'm going to share with you real quickly this little graph. Some of you may have seen it in the past, but it's probably the best thing that we can ever share with you, because what we've done here on that first line, we've just said if a doctor has 100 claims per week. Now, folks, that's really, really low. That's only 20 claims a day. So, but if a doctor has 100 claims a day, processing at $150 per claim times 52 weeks times 7%, that's exactly how much the doctor is expected to pay a medical biller that's doing their billing outsourced. Okay, so I want to kind of start with that. You kind of keep that in mind. You see that's right at $55,000. Now, what's a good thing for you to understand is that that's how much money you can make with just one doctor. So imagine that you're doing billing for 3 doctors or just 2 doctors. You can see that clearly right there with just a couple of doctors, you can actually make about $150,000. I mean, it's just over $100,000 a year. All right, but we need to look at the in-house column there. Just to have a billing staff in their office, a doctor usually is going to employ at least one person, and then there's always somebody else that's always helping out, because you got to do things like calling insurances and verifying insurances, and so that's where it takes about 1.5 people. So we kind of average that out. And they're going to get paid anywhere from $20, $22, up as high as $25 an hour. So we kind of split that in half, and just on payroll alone, the doctor's going to be forking out about $68,000. Then you start adding the payroll taxes, workers' comp insurance, any other types of insurances. I mean, a lot of doctors' offices pay for short-term, long-term disability. Folks, those can get costly right there. Then if they've got to hire some temp because one's on vacation or they have to change, or listen, what happens a lot of times is that somebody only stays there about 6 months and then they got to hire somebody else and they get behind. It's hard to even calculate that out, but if this is just if somebody stays and have vacations and all that, whittle all that down, especially if the doctors are paying for all of their IT services, you can see that it's easily can get up to $95,000 just to have an in-house biller or billers in-house, compared to that if they had that outsourced. So people always ask, what would any benefit for a doctor to have it outsourced? Number one, they're going to pay a lot less in fees, is what it gets down to. Secondly, the performance of getting those claims paid actually increases, because again, you don't get paid unless the doctor gets paid. So to earn your $54,000, you're going to make sure that that doctor gets every one of those claims paid. So that's so important. Imagine the doctor's paying $95,000 and they're only getting 70% of all their claims being paid. And you said, Eric, that means that, gosh, 30% may not get paid throughout the year. That can be typical. And I'm going to show you some of those stats here in a little bit and why that occurs here. But I wanted to start off with you with that today, just to let you know that there is a huge benefit for the doctor to get that billing outside of their office. So now that you kind of got that as a platform and a foundation, what are you going to learn from us here at American Business Systems? Well, the first thing I want to do is teach you a few things today. Some of you may be calling yourself or be thinking, I'm going to get into medical billing. Really, what I want you to start thinking is stop using the word medical billing, or that you're getting into medical billing. I want you to kind of start changing your vocabulary, that you're getting into revenue cycle management. That is the more professional name that doctors' offices use. That's what hospitals use, facilities, all of these organizations will use revenue cycle management. Okay, so really what you're going to become is a certified revenue cycle management company. All right, so you're not just doing medical billing, but you're doing and including everything in what's getting that doctor paid, including some of the other areas that will actually help preserve funds and money leaving that doctor's office due to HIPAA compliancy issues, dealing with claims that are not getting paid, or claims just not ever getting processed. So I wanted to share with you this whole acronym of RCM, or what's called revenue cycle management. I'm not going to go through each of those details because, again, this afternoon, we're just not going to have a lot of time. And I want to make sure that you're getting all the information. So remember that part of what I'm doing today is the initial part of your training. And you haven't even joined us here at American Business Systems. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about medical billing basics, okay? Because the other kind of hurdle that people like to try to get over, and I'm sure you've had some people already tell you already, gosh, if you're going to get into medical billing, you're probably going to have to learn about all these codes. Well, what I'm going to share with you is that there really is a difference between a medical coder and a medical biller. And the difference is a medical coder will actually take the doctor's notes and then transcribe those into some alphanumeric medical codes, okay? You'll see everything from an R 1011 or whatever it might be out there. And you're going to have all these different codes. And there's two different types of codes. There's the diagnosis code, that's what's wrong with the patient, versus the procedure code. So a coder would read the notes of the doctor to find out what's wrong with the patient, and then they'll look up in all of their books and go, oh, the doctor said that they had a cough, they also had a fever, and they got a nail stuck in their foot, and that's a diagnosis code, or they've got bronchitis, or they've got heart palpitations or high blood pressure. All of those will constitute to a diagnosis code. Then they're going to look at what the doctor did for that patient, and then they're going to interpret that into another code, which is the procedure code. And that's what, in our world of revenue cycle management, that's what's attached to the fees that are charged to the patient and or their insurance companies. So you got the two codes there, diagnosis code and the procedure code. So what a medical biller will do, they're actually taking the codes and inputting them into a system, okay? So that's really the only difference here. So we're not trying to teach you and make you a medical coder. One aspect of it, you don't need to be a medical coder. You don't need to go to school for medical coding, because one of the services that we have for you is for coding, okay? Whether it's through AuditGuard or CodeWrite, either one of those have to deal with professional coders. If you need those services or the doctor needs those services, then you have the service in which you can get that accomplished. So as you're getting started and you're asked, do you know coding? You're going to say, I don't need to know coding. I'm already going to have the coding services built into my entire package here. All right. So again, I've already kind of expressed to you in a little bit and giving you some education about what is medical coding. Again, it's just turning words into numbers so that the insurance companies can interpret that and not go through all the notes and try to figure out. They're not going to do it. They're not, it's kind of like, don't make it too easy for them or make them go do any of the work. They're saying, hey, doctor, send us your codes, because here's the diagnosis codes, and that's the medical conditions of the patient. And then obviously the procedure codes, that's what gets paid. Okay. So just understand that there could be multiple diagnoses and there could be multiple procedures of what happens in that doctor's office. Okay. And these codes are sort of universal in a lot of different specialties. So we're not just talking primary care. We're talking cardiology or nephrology. We're talking about massage therapists that do medical coding, medical billing. We have several of our business owners here at American Business Systems that actually does that for chiropractors and for massage therapists. But then obviously you got all the different specialties. If the doctor or the provider, whoever that might be, as long as they're billing on the codes of what's called CMS 1500, you might want to write that down. CMS, Charlie, Mary, Sam, okay, that stands for the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS 1500 codes, then you can do the billing for that particular provider. Again, whether they are providing services as like massage therapy or chiropractic care, or a doctor that is a cardiologist or even a cardiac surgeon, they're still using all the same codes. However, what I wanted to share with you with the doctors that we're going to kind of tell you how to target, I'm going to tell you, most of those doctors are already doing their own coding. And the reason for that is that a lot of their systems that they're currently utilizing are already having the codes already built into their electronic medical record systems. Now, our system, our iClaim and EMRX system, really the doctors don't even need to have any of that in there, because as the doctor is seeing their patient, it's actually going to help bring all those codes together, and it's going to bring them into, if the doctor is drilling down on a particular patient with some like respiratory issue, and as they keep answering the questions, they keep going through that, it's actually going to give the doctors the proper diagnosis codes for that particular visit. And then through that, it's keeping up with the time, the complexity of what the doctor did, and it's actually going to provide the doctor the correct procedure code. So at the end of the day, the doctors that normally you're going to be dealing with, and I say normally because the only ones that I know really that you have to have a coder with are going to be more of your surgeons, because they're dictating as they're doing their surgery, okay? So unless you're dealing with a lot of surgeons, you're probably not going to have a lot of doctors needing coding. Now, they might need some auditing through our Audit Guard service through those professional coders, but not necessarily in a day in and day out part of it. And that's why I wanted to share with you the difference between a medical coder and a medical biller, or a revenue cycle management company like what you're going to become. So it's really the doctor's responsibility to provide you the medical codes. Now, here's where ABS comes in, or should I say MIRMA with American Business Systems, because really it's a strategy for you as you're going out there promoting your business, because obviously you don't want to put American Business Systems on any of your marketing material just so that people would go out there and go, oh, I can see that you just joined a franchise, so to say, or some type of business opportunity. You're brand new at it. No, we wanted you to have something more legitimate with the MIRMA, that organization, and it's they who actually do your training. But it's all under the auspice of American Business System here. So we're doing the training for you through the medical MIRMA, and then we're going to be able to help you get all of that taken care of. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you got your pens and paper down, I'm going to kind of take you on a little in-depth part of what the outline and the agenda actually looks like, okay? First of all, we're going to look at it at a very high level right now. Here's the training overview. So if you'd like to, you can take a screenshot of this, or if you'd like to, get back with your sales rep that you're working with here at American Business Systems and request a PDF of today's slide deck. We'd be more than happy to get that for you. But you can see that there are 10 modules. Now, these 10 modules is probably going to take you about, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 hours to get through, because not all of these are just 1 hour in length. Some of them are going to be a little bit longer. And in between each of these modules, you're going to actually have homework to prepare for the next module. Okay, so obviously in module 1, you're going to go through some type of introduction. You're going to go through a practice workflow, and then the introduction into what is medical billing. You're going to start learning all the terminology in that first module. You move on to module 2, you're going to see the overview of iClaim, the overview of EMRX, and then how does iClaim and EMRX, how the pricing works. Now, I will share with you that iClaim and EMRX are branded practice management system, which is the iClaim side, and branded electronic medical records platform, as we have here at American Business Systems. What's the beauty of this is that we actually have 3 different platforms that have been white labeled, so to say, for iClaim and EMRX, depending upon what your doctor or what your provider might need, okay? So get back with your sales rep to get a little bit more in detail about that, and they'll certainly help you with that. As you go into module 3, you can see that for those that want to do some dental billing, we're going to get you started on the understanding about Dentamax, which is one of our platforms here for dental billing. Now, dental billing is completely separate from medical billing, okay? They don't use the CMS 1500 codes. You know, they use their dental codes, and so that's a completely different setup there. But we've had enough people say, hey, I've got a dentist, I've got a background in doing some dental billing. I'd like to have that platform, because I'm also doing some billing for some medical doctors as well. But then you're going to see all the different ancillary services: Choice Pay, Quick Collect. The next module is Audit Guard and CodeWrite. Those are the coding modules that you're going to be going through. Compliancy Guard is all about HIPAA compliancy. Auto Card is about the doctor's marketing, helping them market their business, helping them remind their patients for their annual wellness visits, their annual physicals, whatever it might be. That's a way to help promote the doctor. And they can send birthday cards out or anniversary cards out, just to keep that communication. They want to be top of the mind with their own patients. But we're going to also show you how you utilize that as part of your marketing performance here as you get your medical billing company going. Credentials Now is for doctors that need credentialing. All that is, folks, is that you got to get the doctors credentialed with, like, Medicare and United Healthcare or Aetna or Cigna. They may need to get those redone. Okay, so that's always part of revenue cycle management. Documentables is just a way in which this document storage. Then there's a review. Then, as you can see, module 6, now we're going into how we're going to help you market. Now, the great thing about it is this Wednesday, you're learning all about training. Next Wednesday, I'm going to teach you a little bit about marketing and how to get some of that marketing going. But you can see, going through each of these modules here, we're going to take you step by step by step. Now, it's going to take you probably, like I said, maybe 2 weeks to complete this. And I want you to keep that in mind, because it'll be very interesting for yourself as we kind of wrap up today's webinar. Now, getting back over here into the in-depth certification, I really want to kind of take you on even a deeper dive here. So give me just a second. So let me switch out to where I want to share my screen and what I'm actually going to share with you. And let's go into a little bit deeper dive here. Let's go into the actual agenda. So again, you can see in module 1, remember we said enter the part where you're actually going to go through an introduction into medical billing and all of that. Folks, we're going to take you even deeper, because we know this might be your first business to ever get started. Some of you are going to need to know, need some help about, how am I going to set up my corporation? Is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be a partnership? Is it going to be a sole proprietorship? You don't want to do it just by yourself. You need to have some type of entity. We're going to teach you even how to choose the right name, because you want to make sure that you've got a good name, but then you're going to also want to know, can I get the URL or the web address for that particular name? And we can even be creative in helping you with that. We're even going to show you where to find how to get logos, designs done, how to get involved with your customer relation management software, accounting. We're going to take you through all of that. You can see we're going to take you through the workflow of what's inside the practice. We're going to talk with you about HIPAA. This is probably the most misspelled acronym out there. If I am reviewing a resume or I'm looking at something and I see the word HIPAA and it's spelled with 2 P's and not 2 A's, I already know that doctor needs help. And believe me, I have found that to be true in so many different areas. So you want to keep an eyeball out for that. And we're going to teach you all about that. And then really what's involved in, again, what I started off with today. What is revenue cycle management? That's just module 1. You can see that's probably going to take way more than just 1 hour to kind of get through. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm going to just scroll through this as I continue to keep talking, just to let you know there's not a stone that we leave unturned whenever it comes down to your training. It kind of goes back to what I was sharing earlier with somebody just last night. Does somebody, once they buy your franchise or when they buy your business opportunity, do they have to go through any additional training like at DeVry or any place else? And no, we've got you covered. We've got all of your training. And matter of fact, once you even go through all of this training, these have already been pre-recorded as well. So if you need a refresher course on a particular service, whether it's iClaim, whether it's EMRX, maybe how to market to your doctors, what's the practice analysis questionnaire, how do I get that filled out, what's all about your MIRMA certification, co-branding your books to build your credibility, all of that is already recorded, again, for you to go back through for any reviews that you might need. Now, it doesn't stop there, folks. Let's just say that you get through some of this, you've watched the video, and it still is just not making sense. Get back in touch with us here at Support. The support team will actually work with you, handhold you, train you again, make sure that you got everything that you need to know on your particular training so that you are going out successfully. It's so cool to find out that once we get through module 9 and module 10, that you've already got a development of a list of doctors that you're targeting. And sometimes even by the time you're getting wrapped up with all of this, when you're learning how to present your proposal, as you can see here in module 10, sometimes you're actually doing it with a doctor ready to go, okay? So we're going to lead you through this because part of this training is part of your marketing and what you're learning through your marketing. So that kind of got us through all of that. And I'm going to get back over here to my slide deck over here, just kind of share with you that there is a lot of information that we go through with you on this. And as I said, between modules, you're going to have homework. You got a homework summary. So if you're not ready to get in and roll up your sleeves and get your fingers and hands and toenails and up to your eyeballs dirty and trying to learn all these acronyms and everything else, man, just get ready, because this is where, again, kind of the rubber meets the road, because we don't want you to feel like you didn't learn anything. We want to make sure that you have everything that you need, and including, again, getting to our licensee support site. As I mentioned earlier, everything that you're going to go through also has a relating video back on there that if you ever need particular help. And I'm going to show you real quickly give you a little tour of our licensee support site. It's ABS LSS. If you go there right now, you find it is locked down with a username and password. The only people that can get in here are those that are already medical part of American Business Systems. But you can see here underneath news, this is always being kept up with what's going on. Let me get this over into the original view, the way that it is here. You can see that we've had updated resumes for marketing. If we're closed, like for Labor Day, all of that's up there. We've got a new trade show display for rent. Folks, this is so cool. We've got, for those that would love to go out there and be a part of a trade show, we've got you covered. We got you taken care of there. That is wonderful. It's a full booth. I mean, if any of you have ever done a trade show, it's a full 10 by 10 booth that you can be able to utilize. But then again, if you want to learn all about iClaim and EMRX, again, you just go over to the services, you get down over to where it says iClaim and EMRX, and then all of that information is there. And here's the introduction, more introductions, all the downloads that you're going to need. We've got all the different training, everything that you're really going to need for any of the iClaim EMRX platforms that are out there. If you want to know more about it and go back over an overview, basically the same overview that you went over during the training, you can find all of those trainings back here on the ABS LSS. Okay, let me switch back over to here. And then, folks, again, all I'm showing you is here is that, again, I went back one there. But again, we've got all the different training modules set out forth there. And again, as you go through it, you're going to need to know some very key elements through your training. Again, what does the whole system look like? We've kind of broken it down in these 4 areas where you got the iClaim, which is the practice management system, the electronic medical records, which all are integrated together. And what's unique about our platform, for those that really want to do a deep dive, I encourage you to get back with your sales rep and ask them to do a demonstration for you. Because in one of our platforms, we actually have an internal clearinghouse. Now, that's a huge advantage because that will do so much. And I'm going to share with you why that will do so much here in just a moment. Because there's an element in one of the books that you're going to actually utilize for your marketing that is so key. Have you ever gone to the doctor and then obviously you got to turn in your first name, last name, you got to give them basically your driver's license and your insurance card, right? And what they're doing, they're collecting to make sure that whenever they're going to run your insurance eligibility, that if you're with Blue Cross Blue Shield or Medicare or anything else, they want to verify that insurance. Now, again, going back to that doctor's office, remember we talked a little bit earlier about those 2 columns, the internal billing staff for a doctor's office versus it being outsourced. That's what a lot of these folks try to get to do during the day, is making sure that they can verify insurance on every single patient, then collect their copays and whatever else. Our system will actually check insurance eligibility automatically. That's a beauty that, again, a lot of doctors don't know about. We'll actually do a demonstration for your doctor and share with them what our system can do to decrease the amount of claims that don't get paid simply because someone did not do an insurance verification. Then on top of that, all of our systems come with an internal patient portal. So you can see that we've got it all connected. We're not having to pull different software and kind of piece them together. Everything is actually one large piece of software. Now, I mentioned to you about the clearinghouse, and what's so important here is I'm going to share this within 2 different ways. One thing I want you to take notice of, I've got 2 books up here. One's called The New Thriving Medical Practice, written by Patrick Phillips and Dr. Vicki Rachner. Dr. Vicki Rachner was a general surgeon. She's a retired general surgeon. Dr. Vicki Rachner is also our medical director on the board of directors there for MIRMA. And she is a huge vital asset to your success. If you haven't been able to watch any of her interviews that I've done with her, you need to go back and watch those. But they co-wrote this book for doctors. And inside that book, there's some important information I'm going to show you here in the next slide here in just a moment. But what I want to draw your attention to is, first of all, underneath their names is a name of a certified medical revenue manager. That's one of our ABS business owners' names. So when you become part of American Business Systems, you have the opportunity to write the foreword to the book, which means that as soon as you join us and you get through training, we're going to make sure that your name is on the cover of the book, and on inside the book, we'll have your name and your foreword to the book. That's going to bring you a huge amount of credibility right off the bat. Then Adam's book, right, you can see next to it, 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. You can see that little yellow sticker up there. You can actually hand those out a little bit more broadly than you can the other one, because that one's you want to be very specific when you hand out that book. but the other one is a little bit smaller, but it's very easy to hand out like at a trade show, or if you're at like a chamber of commerce and you're trying to get people to understand what you do, you can actually share that as well. Now, again, you can see there right in the middle here, I'm pointing there with these little wiggly arrows there. It's your information that's on inside of the book. So it's going to bring you a whole lot of credibility. And this is what's so good about it. And I'm going to share with you, remember earlier, I mentioned to you, a lot of claims don't get paid because someone's not checking insurance eligibility or some other issues. A lot of issues that happen because they can't check insurance eligibility in real time. They try to do it either phone call, or they're typing all of this information in there themselves. So inside the book, you can see here, I forgot what page this is on, but it's the area that talks about the common causes of rejections, or the common cause of rejected claims. 4 bullet points here on this particular page. Billing for a procedure not covered. Okay, that happens so often. A procedure code is chosen by a doctor and it's not covered by the insurance. Inaccurate coding. We've already talked about how to clarify that. A lot of it is use iClaim and EMRX. Undercoding. Now, this is where Audit Guard would come into play. Because once you start taking over a doctor's office, you don't know whether they're, what's understanding here, undercoding or overcoding. You don't know that until you run a full analysis on the doctor. So one of the things that you might want to end up doing is a full audit on that doctor on their current coding of what they're doing before you take over. Because sometimes a lot of doctors leave money on the table because they don't want to what's called overcoding, which means that they're going to use a procedure code that actually reimburses them more than maybe what they thought that they could get. Or to avoid that, they undercode, which means that they probably could have gotten what they're expected to get. Maybe instead of billing for a visit that the doctors could have gotten reimbursed for 150, they only may bill it for 100. Where who wants to leave $50 on the table? So you can see by making sure that doctors are coding properly and using Audit Guard to help them understand that they're coding properly. We address that in this particular book. Folks, this book actually becomes your Bible into medical billing, because you're going to learn all the different issues out there. But then the last thing why claims don't get processed properly, and the biggest one, is human error. They mistype, they transpose numbers and other mistakes in entry that cause a rejection. They misspell a name. They code, or they transcribe the number, the insurance number, into the system incorrectly, and they don't check it. So whenever somebody goes to bills it, and it hits like Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it's got they're 1 digit off, or maybe 1 letter off, they're going to send that back, and a lot of times nobody ever does anything with that particular claim. So it's lost revenue is what it comes out to be. Now, here's one thing I want you to take advantage of today. It looks like everybody has stayed on so far. I haven't got any questions here, so I haven't addressed any questions here, but I want you to start getting ready to address some questions here. But let me share with you what I'm going to give to you today. When you get through with the webinar today, I want you to contact the individual that you're working with here at American Business Systems, your sales rep, and ask them for a PDF copy of the new Thriving Medical Practice. It's my gift to you today. I want you to get it because I want you to read it. Now, again, because the reason I want you to read it, because I want you to feel like today you've gone through some training. Because remember, you're going to have 10 modules to go through, right? Why not get started right now? Because if you join me next Wednesday, I'm going to ask some of you if you've got the book and started reading it. Because that's how we make sure that we know that we're educating folks properly here. So I want you to get back with your ABS rep here that you're working with, and we're going to help you start your training immediately, even without starting with us here at American Business Systems. A couple of little things I want to wrap up with here is that you will have a lifetime support on all the different services that you have here with American Business Systems. Remember, you're going to go through training on every particular service. And when there's additional training that you need, or there's new services that come out, that's always going to be included with your training for a lifetime. And reason I put this in here, because a lot of people are maybe looking at some other organizations and you're only going to get a limited amount of support. Ours is not limited. It's lifetime support with us. Plus, why not have the support whenever it's time to get your doctor engaged? Whether it's engaged on the first part of it, where you are needing to make sure that the doctors understand the iClaim EMRx system, okay? Before that they start, let us answer all the questions for you. That's done for a lifetime as well. We will always do your demonstrations for your potential doctors. Then let's say the doctor says, yep, I'm ready to go. How do I get this thing started? Again, your lifetime of support here will actually allow us to help you get that doctor onboarded. So that's what you're going to get from us. You're never going to be alone out there by yourself. We're going to help you with all of that. Okay. All right. So as we kind of start getting wrapped up here, I'm going to take you through a few frequent asked questions here. And then I think one question has come in, and I'm going to kind of save it here a little bit for the last. First FAQ question. Excuse me. How long do I have access to the course? Folks, you have a lifetime. Even after the fact that if you feel like you need to kind of go back through some things and you want to go over something very specifically, get back with support. They'll have a Zoom meeting with you. They'll go back over it with you. You'll never be we're not going to just rush you through this. And also, let me tell you this is not a recorded training either. It's with a live instructor. So it's not like you're going to have to sit back and turn it on and you're going, oh man, I'm falling asleep. I don't know if I'm going to make it through this training here. No, you're going to be engaged just like with somebody, just like I'm engaged with you right now. We're going to be making sure that you're staying awake. We're going to make sure that you're getting through all your training. We're going to make sure that you've got the information. But again, literally after the training, you're going to feel like you've been drinking out of a fire hydrant. You're not going to get everything the first time. We know that to get something seated in your head, sometimes it takes 5, 6, 7 times for it to kind of just sink in and you get it. And this is why we do a webinar every single week, 52 weeks out of the year. We're always here because it just takes time for some folks just to kind of get through. So we're going to do the same thing on the back end. We're never going to leave you without training. All right, so when does the course start and then when does it finish? The course can start today. That's the great thing about it. If you're ready, you've got your documentation ready to go, you've got your investment ready to go for yourself, and you're ready to go with us. All you got to do is get all that plugged in, and then we'll get you set up. Your training could literally start. It could start by Friday. It could start the first part of next week, but we're going to get you started pretty quickly. Now, it's a self-paced online course. It's not a recorded course. All right. It's a direct live. So once you get through with your first training, you and your instructor, you're going to look at your calendars. You're going to schedule it out right then and there when your next training is. Okay. So if you ever need to pause it, you can always pause it. But typically it's going to take you less than about 2 weeks to get through all of it. Okay. So you decide when you want to start, and basically you decide when you want to finish. What if I'm unhappy with the course? Or what if I'm unhappy with what I got from American Business Systems? Let me tell you this. You've got 30 days to also help your decision, because we want you to go through training. We want you to go through all of the training. Remember, I told you it's going to probably take you maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks to complete the training. That still leaves you another 2 weeks left to decide whether this is what you still want to do. As a matter of fact, you're going to get everything that we've talked about so far, all of the marketing material. You're even going to get all the training, all the books that go along with the training. During that first 30 days, that's still your decision. At the end of that 30 days, if you feel like this is not right for you, you contact us here at support, and we will arrange to get you a full refund back. No questions asked. Okay. So that's our deal. That's our part of our gift. And we're taking the biggest risk on that. All right, so that's really about all I need to share with you about the blueprint for getting started.